Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fix. I am your usual host and presenter, Advocate Tudo Hoyani. The chickens are coming home to roost, and they are coming home to roost fast. And this is how it is all unfolding in the judiciary. You will recall that on the 6th of July, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi made very damning allegations about how criminal syndicates had infiltrated and overrun the criminal justice system. Among some of the institutions that Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi fingered or identified was the judiciary. Mkhwanazi unequivocally told that press briefing that there are members of the judiciary, magistrates and perhaps judges, who are working hand in hand with criminal elements to subvert the justice system. It was a very startling disclosure that shocked everybody. But let me just give you an indication of where this morning's analysis is going. Last week, there was a case in the Pretoria Magistrates Court, in which case General Dumisani Kumalo was seeking to have his bail conditions relaxed. And he was due to appear before a magistrate. And that magistrate is Magistrate Mahlangu. The purpose of that appearance was to have his bail conditions relaxed so that it would be possible for him to go back to work. And General Kumalo is going to work because an internal disciplinary hearing within the South African Police Service has cleared him of all wrongdoing. You will recall that General Kumalo is on bail, and he's on bail because allegedly he was involved in corrupt activities, in that he had irregularly facilitated the appointment to a very senior position of a very junior person and an unqualified person to the rank of a brigadier. So that is the reason why General Kumalo is now facing those corruption charges for which he is now out on bail. So an internal disciplinary hearing has cleared him of all wrongdoing in respect of the appointment of that individual who was supposedly irregularly employed. So the commissioner, or the National Commissioner of Police, then established an internal inquiry within the SAPS to look into this matter. And that internal inquiry has cleared General Kumalo of all wrongdoing. This is why the National Commissioner of Police, Fani Masemola, has made a decision that General Kumalo can return to work. So it is against that background that General Kumalo then approached the Pretoria Magistrates Court to have his bail conditions amended or relaxed to make it possible for him to go back to work following his clearing by the internal disciplinary processes of the South African Police Service. Now, as we all know, that matter has been postponed to October. I think the date is the 6th of October. But the real issue that I want to talk about this morning is the shocking recusal of the magistrate who was hearing that matter. Magistrate Busmusi Mahlangu presided over the bail hearing of General Kumalo and granted General Kumalo bail. Now, this same magistrate ought to be the person who has to hear that application, this current application by General Kumalo to have his bail conditions relaxed or amended. But he has recused himself, and he has recused himself in a most unusual way. Let me just briefly deal with a recusal and show you how improper this particular recusal has been. A recusal can come from either of the parties in court, either the prosecution or the defense, if they have some misgivings about the, or whether if there are doubts about the impartiality about a presiding judicial officer. The prosecution or the defense can bring up a recusal application to indicate that they are not comfortable with such a judicial officer presiding. Sometimes, and this is very rare, sometimes a presiding officer will, out of his or her own volition, recuse himself or herself. Now, what happened with Magistrate Busmusi Mahlangu falls in the latter category. Busmusi Mahlangu, to the surprise of everybody, the prosecution and IDEC. Remember, it is IDEC, the investigating Directorate Against Corruption, that has brought the charges that General Kumalo is facing. So, to the utter surprise of everyone, Magistrate Mahlangu recuses himself, not in court, but apparently in writing, to say that following the disclosures in the Madanga Commission, he is recusing himself. The message is just that brief. And he does not go on to elaborate or get into the specifics of what those disclosures are before the Madanga Commission. But we are all privy to what is going on in the Madanga Commission, save for that evidence which has been held or heard in camera. Now, let me unbundle this for you. If you link up this recusal with what Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi told South Africa on the 6th of July, in that press briefing, you can then tie, you can then put the dots together and see what is happening here. Magistrate Mahlangu has, on his own volition, without anybody pushing for his recusal, recused himself because he says he is doing so because of the disclosures made in the Mahlanga Commission about the judiciary. Now, what is it here that Magistrate Mahlangu is talking about? You see, the Mahlanga Commission, or all we know is the Mahlanga Commission is investigating all the corruption within the police services and the judiciary, among other institutions. So here is a judicial officer who says, I am not comfortable presiding over this matter anymore, and bids a hasty, unusual retreat out of this matter, to the surprise of IDEC itself and the prosecution, such that the prosecution and IDEC have indicated that they'll be taking up this matter of his recusal because it was totally unexpected. And they are saying that it might further delay the case. In what manner it will delay the case? Well, we just have to wait and see, because there's a new magistrate who has been appointed following that, unusual recusal by Magistrate Mahlangu. But the crucial thing is Mahlangu, can feel the heat. And if a judicial officer, recuses himself in the manner that Mahlangu has recused himself, and goes on to say it is because of the disclosures in the Mahlanga Commission, we can add 1 and 1 and come up with 2 and say that Mahlangu somehow is involved in corrupt activities. Because there is no reason why Mahlangu should recuse himself because of those disclosures before the Mahlanga Commission. In other words, Magistrate Mahlangu is recusing himself because somehow he has been implicated by, the evidence that is being heard by the Mahlanga Commission. Because otherwise, if those disclosures up to now had nothing to do with him, there is no reason why he should jump ship and decide to recuse himself, allegedly because of those disclosures. So those disclosures have got something to do with him. So we can with confidence say there are actual people now. This is why I said in my opener, the chickens are coming home to roost. This is the first casualty in the judiciary. Magistrate Mahlangu, who is beating a hasty retreat in the face of the disclosures before the Mahlanga Commission. And we have to wait and see where that recusal application will take us. Because, like I indicated, there's a review application which is going to be heard in the Pretoria High Court, challenging the recusal of Magistrate Mahlangu by IDEC and the prosecution. That will be a very interesting recusal application, because in that application, Magistrate Mahlangu will have to come out clearly and specifically to tell us how and why he has recused himself. Because you see, at the present moment, all we have is he has recused himself because of some of the disclosures made in the Mahlanga Commission. But that review application by IDEC and the prosecution will give us the full details behind the recusal of Mahlangu. But for now, we can rest assured that Mahlangu is allegedly involved in corruption. That is why he feels uncomfortable with the disclosures that have been made before the Mahlanga Commission and has decided to recuse himself. Having said that, let me thank you for watching this video. Let me thank you for all the views and subscriptions and shares that I'm seeing. I said yesterday, I am elated. I want to thank you all in a very special manner for supporting this initiative. Please continue to do so, like, subscribe, and share, and I will continue to bring you up-to-date news and analysis twice every single day. Having said that, thank you very much and have a blessed Sunday.